Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Home Buyer Seminar. We're extremely excited to be sharing great material today that we have for you, and we would like to be shared with you. Without further ado, we would like to begin introducing our panelists, including myself. Hi, my name is Jonathan Batista. I would like to also introduce my business partner and colleague, Alejandro Rojas. Also joining us today from Financial Resources Federal Credit Union, Loan Officer Marisol Torella, and our in-house home inspector, Mike Makeley from Universal Home Inspections. Folks, before we begin, I just want to mention, please write down your questions. Q&A will be answered at the end of our seminar session. Also, do not forget to stop by our website, AJ Consult Group. We always post information that are very helpful for you. And if you want to also get in touch with us, leave us a review on Google. Please feel free to visit ajconsultgroup.com. Let's begin. Today, folks, we want to touch base on how do we qualify for a loan? And me personally, I know that getting qualified for a loan takes a process. So today, Marisol, please share with us some tips of how we qualify for a loan.
Well, to qualify for a loan, there's three things that are majorly important, and I like to reference it as CIA, which is credit, income, and asset. So when you're trying to qualify for a loan, the first and foremost thing is your credit. Credit is everything. So ideally, I always tell my customers, strive to have at least a 680 credit score, if not higher, only because your credit will determine what interest rate you're going to get when you're trying to purchase a home. And then your income. Income is the second most important thing. Remember, the more money you have to purchase, the more you'll be able to borrow. The less money you make, the less you're going to be able to borrow. And then in terms of your assets is just simply the money that you have saved away to put towards, the purchase of your home for down payment and closing costs.
Awesome. Marisol, thank you for giving us your feedback on how to qualify for a loan. I know the process of qualifying for a loan is very strenuous.
Yeah.
And I mean, for myself, I remember when I was doing my process of getting qualified for a loan, it was a lot of documents that I needed. What are some of those documents, Marisol, if you can touch base on that is required?
Most definitely. What you want to have prepared is like your two most recent pay stubs, your bank statements for the past 2 months, and your complete tax returns for the past 2 years. Those are the standard documentation that you should have ready and available when you're looking to, to start the home shopping process and to try to get pre-qualified for a mortgage.
Great. Thank you again, Marisol, for answering this question on how do we qualify for a loan. It is important. We come in the process of making an offer. Sometimes we think about waiving escrow, and for the most part, why should we waive escrow or should we not? Can you elaborate on that?
That's a great question.
Well, to begin, what is escrow? Escrow is pretty much an account that banks create to put away the money that's used to pay for your property taxes and your homeowner's insurance. So remember, whenever you purchase a property, not only do you have to pay for the mortgage, the light, the gas, and everything else, you also have to pay for property taxes, which goes straight to the government. And you have to pay homeowners insurance and flood insurance if your property is located in a flood zone. So what the bank does is that the bank collects a portion of that payment every single month in your mortgage payments, and they set it aside in what is called an escrow account. And then, and then when the payment is due, the bank actually pays it out on your behalf. Now, in some instances, some people, choose to waive the escrow portion of their mortgage, which they can do so. And some banks will allow you to do it, for a one-time fee. However, me personally, I would say don't waive your escrow. Allow the bank to pay for your taxes, to pay for your homeowner's insurance, because that's just one thing that you want to make sure that's always up to date. I mean, I'll give you a personal experience. My home, I have to pay flood insurance.
Right.
And thankfully, my mortgage company is paying my flood insurance now with this. So back in September 1st, with Hurricane Ira, my home got hit with the flood. So my first floor and my basement were completely flooded. So thankfully, because I have flood insurance and my flood insurance was paid on time, I was able to put in a claim for it. Now, God forbid, if I had to pay it on my own, and let's just say, I forget one payment, which it happens to everyone, I could have been in a different situation where, I could have literally lost everything and have to pay out of pocket. So for me, I would always suggest, and I would always say, escrow your property taxes and any insurance that apply to your home.
I
Can't hear you. Jonathan, can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So like I was mentioning, I had a personal experience myself that I'm sorry, can you hear me?
I hear you now. I didn't hear you before.
Oh, okay. I said, so I had a personal experience myself that when it came to escrow, I waived my escrow. And at that point, I regretted it because it backfired on me. I had to basically get my homeowner's insurance paid. I missed it. I totally forgot about it. And it's something I also do not agree with, waiving it. So
well, it depends. I mean, because in reality, not everyone is in that situation. There's different buyers and different owners of homes. So some people have the funds. Some people want to get that bill to make sure they're not paying extra. Some people like to, manage their books, if you will, and they have the funds to pay for the escrow, so they'll waive it. But at the end of the day, Marisol, like you said, taxes are not going to go down, and you don't know when they go up. So you want to make sure that you're on top of your stuff, because God forbid you miss that payment, and like Ida happened, you're going to be stuck with quite a bill if you can even afford it.
Yes,
Right.
and you know what? Just to touch base on one more thing about waiving escrow, the only benefit that you can get for waiving escrow and you personally paying it yourself is that if you have the financial means to pay your taxes at the beginning of the year, most counties will give you a discount for paying it off, in one shot.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so definitely, if you have the financial means to pay it off at the beginning of the year, then by all means do it. You know what I'm saying? Because you will save money that way. But if you don't, like I said, it's always better to just let the bank pay it on your behalf. So that way you don't have to worry about it in the back of your mind. Like, okay, you know what? Now I have to pay $2,000 or $10,000 in property taxes. Out here in Jersey, taxes are very high.
Absolutely. And thank you, Marisol, for providing us great information on waiving escrow. Now, we experiencing a hurricane that just recently affected a lot of folks. And with that being said, we look back at Hurricane Ida, how it affected the home buying process. Mike Makeley from Universal Home Inspections, what type of experience have you come across after Hurricane Ida when you're inspecting homes?
Well, you have to look a lot for, especially if you're looking at a home, of course, look in a basement and a crawl space. If you see any signs of moisture or any staining at all, that's a sign that there was a water problem at one time,
Great. Is there any other signs aside from water that you've come across? Maybe like a wind blew or a siding or a shingle from a roof?
Yeah, there's plenty of damage a hurricane can do to a roof. A lot of times it'll leave a lot of debris up on the roof, and that becomes a problem because it clogs up gutters. And if it clogs up gutters, then you have a problem with a lot of water, just draining next to the foundation, and then it seeps in that way. So debris on a roof, after a storm like that, make sure somebody goes up there, checks it out. If you can get somebody up there just to clear off the roof and those gutters, that would help a lot.
Great. Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you so much. And we all ask ourselves, as we're getting ready to purchase our home, we always ask ourselves, why do I need a realtor? Well, that's a great question. And Alex, if you could please elaborate, why do we need a realtor?
I'm sure everyone is wondering why there's a shark here. And it's because, I don't know about you, but I'm afraid of sharks. And, the first thing we think about is who's going to take advantage of us and who's actually going to service us. And unfortunately, in every sector of business, there are those that care and those that don't. We are those that care. So why do you need a realtor? Because you're not an expert. You could go to a court of law and represent yourself legally in this country. But if you're not an attorney, you're doing yourself a disservice because you may miss things that an attorney would catch. So you are now putting yourself in liability. So people get realtors to make sure they secure experts who know their field of study, who take the time to do a comparative marketing analysis, which is basically comparing prices of homes in the area. It's not an appraisal, but it's a good guesstimate of what the home is worth. You know, if you need, after you get an inspection, you'll need a realtor also to be in communication with your attorney to see if you'll get any credits or discounts on things that have to be repaired. So why do you need a realtor? The same reason you need a doctor, the same reason you need an attorney, to make sure you're properly covered.
Thank you very much, Alex. Exactly what Alex said. For the best interest of you, we're definitely going to protect you on your purchase of your home and guide you through the process. I know also folks ask themselves, why do I need an inspector? Well, Mike, let us know why exactly they need you when it comes
Well,
to.
when somebody hires me to be their inspector, I work for one person and one person only, and that is for the client that has hired me. You know, I am there to protect them first thing, you know, to make sure the structure of the house is good and to make sure, you know, that the overall their investment is protected in any way I can.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Marisol, why do we need an appraisal? And how important is an appraisal? I know for us, we always rely on appraisal just to ensure that the property appraises. But can you please elaborate from a bank side? Why is it important to have an appraisal?
Well, the appraisal is important because it lets you know if you're buying the property for the fair market value. I mean, let's just say hypothetically, you know, if you make an offer to purchase a home for, let's say, 400,000, and then the appraiser goes out there and they realize that, wait a minute, this house is only worth maybe 350. So in a scenario like that, you're paying more for that property than what it's actually worth. So an appraisal is actually good because, I mean, you know, it protects the buyer and the financial institution that's lending you the money.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marisol. And we all ask ourselves, what type of market are we in? How is this market, you know, going? And we still in a seller's market. Alex will touch base more on the seller's market. What we call a seller's market. So we call a seller's market is when we have low inventory and tons of buyers.
I mean, just to simplify it, because when I first got into this home buying process and I purchased my first home, is the first thing I heard is it's a buyer's market, it's a seller's market. I wasn't even a realtor at the time, so it sounded like gibberish to me. No one explains what this is. A seller's market basically means there are few homes for many buyers. If it's a buyer's market, then there are many homes and few buyers. So due to COVID, people have realized that quality of life is an important thing. You know, everyone wants to have a backyard. Everyone wants to own something now because jobs are also being eliminated. And if you're renting and you don't have any value in your home, God forbid something, you know, the bills pile up, a death in the family, God forbid, you can take out something against the home, a line equity of credit to help you purchase the things or pay for the things that you don't have at the current moment. Just so it'll be a Band-Aid. Obviously, it's not going to remedy the situation, but this is an option you have that many renters won't. So why is it still a seller's market? Because homes are in high demand. And that's not going to go away right now because everyone is still experiencing this pandemic and they now understand what it is, like I said, to, you know, be with their family at home, have an office at home. We now want to be comfortable in our homes. We're no longer just, you know, hamsters running on the wheel. We understand that there is more to life.
Absolutely. And Alex, you know, great point that you mentioned that. I had conversations with previous clients of mine that they always ask me, should I still purchase? Should I hold off? Should I wait? I mean, what are your experiences with your clients that you come across?
I tell clients like this, regardless of where the market is, whether the rates are low and the houses are high or the opposite, you will pay for it no matter what. If home prices drop next year, loan rates will go up. So whatever you're not paying on one end, you'll pay it no matter what. This is about investing. In every investment, there's risk, but it's not high risk like that of stocks. When you purchase a vehicle, you lose value the moment it drives off the lot. When you buy a home, you're actually investing in yourself. I've had many clients take out 401ks just to buy a home because they're going to get a better return on their investment in that home than an actual 401k. So, you know, it varies.
I agree. And I learned it the hard way when I first bought my first car. I should have gone used. When it comes to a home inspection, folks, what is the biggest concern, Mike, that you can definitely inform them that you should focus on?
Well, actually, I go over this with all clients. It's actually three, and it's water, water, and water. Water on the roof coming down on it, water on the main level, whether it's water from the top or plumbing, and there's water in the basement, which is all the water coming down. So, if you can, when you're buying a house, if you can look at little signs, before you do hire a home inspector, look at the ceilings, make sure there's no spots, and just give a quick, besides looking at the color of the house and everything like that, look for little signs of moisture and everything. It'll help. It'll help in a big way for you for the whole process.
Exactly, save money. And Mike, another thing, as you may know, when people are buying a home, their first investment, they get very concerned about oil tanks. And they feel that's the biggest concern. Now, we know that oil tanks, either they can be decommissioned and they may not. Can you please elaborate?
Oh, and please elaborate on septic tanks as well. I'm sorry to chime in.
Right. Oil tanks, actually, when you looking for a home inspector, you can make sure that they can provide a oil tank sweep too. It's usually an extra fee, but it's well worth it, because if you don't, if you're stuck with a oil tank, it could be thousands of dollars for a cleanup. So I have special tools and everything that will scan the ground around a home to see if there are any oil tanks buried, and you could take care of it at that time, And as far as septic tanks go, you can get a septic tank inspection if you have one. And if I was a buyer, I wouldn't be afraid of buying a home with septic. As long as it's taken care of like anything else, it's actually a better system. So yeah, those two oil tank, make sure you do, if it's an older home, make sure you do get it, for the price, it's well worth it to get your oil tank scan. And with the septic, you would have to speak to a septic inspector.
Now, Mike, before we move on, I know we're going to move on soon. Just a quick question. What does that range look like for an oil tank that now has contaminated the ground? What could it range? 1,000 to 20,000?
Yeah. It could, and that is no exaggeration. That is, because it's a whole environmental thing where all the surrounding soil from the house, and sometimes I can share some pictures and stuff where the house has to be dug up and lifted to get the dirty soil, the oil tainted soil out, and that could be easily 20,000. Minimum, is 10, I would say. So wow. It is a good investment to get that out of your, off your mind, is to get that oil tank sweep.
Mike, I thank you so much for that info. I'm sure that you always share that with all of our clients. What other inspections are offered for a real estate transaction that folks that are attending now may not be aware of?
There's a general home inspection, and usually if the client hires me, I include a termite inspection, which we look for any damage or any infestation of any wood destroying insects. Also, there is a radon test, and radon is actually a colorless, odorless gas that we all breathe in every day. And in certain areas, it's higher than others. And it's actually the second leading cause of cancer, lung cancer, in the United States. I think 10,000 people die from it each year, and it's a gas that's we're breathing in right now, but it's at what level are you breathing it? And it comes from the ground in rocky areas, Northwest New Jersey, Eastern Pennsylvania, high in radon content, So, that is another good inspection to get. Also, there's mold and air quality. Mold inspection is obvious, if you see if you suspect any mold, or if you just want to make sure when you're buying a house to have it tested, that's fine. And an air quality test is a machine that actually samples your air, and it'll give you anywhere from mold to, to pollen levels to actually insect fragments that are in the air. So those are some major inspections also, offered in a home inspection.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Thank you so much. We're going to transition now to our next slide, which talks about how long does it take to buy a home. Us as realtors, we normally tell our clients it could be 30 to 45 days, or it could be more than 45 days. The process itself is very cumbersome. It involves a lot of parties. And Alex, you can definitely touch base on that as well, of what you experiences on your process of when it comes to purchasing a home.
I mean, it's something that, we are aware as professionals. It varies because if we have the perfect client that has the perfect credit, they provide the lender with everything that they need, then absolutely this is going to be, smooth sailing. But that's not always the case. So how long does it take to buy a home? My answer would be, like I tell most of my clients, how fast can you move? Because if you're providing what we need, and with adequate time, then we obviously will get things done promptly. I mean, in Marisol, you can back me up on this one. You can tell me, if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I will say is this, which is what I tell all of my clients. You have to create a clear expectation of the time frame of how long it's going to take for you to purchase a home. Meaning that, that if you're starting today and you have to repair your credit, it's not going to happen next month. Do you see what I'm saying? If you have to now start saving money for down payment and closing costs, it's not going to happen next month. Now, let's just fast forward to the point where, okay, you know what? You have perfect credit, 700 plus, you have, money saved away, in your bank account, and your income is perfect. But then the home that you're buying, it may not be perfect. So depending on the type of loan that you're going for, that can also create a delay. So let's just say, for example, a rehab loan. You understand? With the rehab loan, I always tell my customers, prepare anywhere from 3 to 5 months. It just all depends on, it all depends on the property. It all depends on the inspections. It all depends on the clearance of permits and so forth. But if you're buying a house that's ready, move-in ready, it's all, perfect condition, there's no outstanding liens, no inspections have to be done, then guess what? Your closing could be as quickly as 30 to 45 days. It just all depends on the home that you're buying and how prepared you are to actually be able to purchase.
Awesome. And one of the things that we ask ourselves is what happens at closing? Marisol, what happens at closing?
Well, a lot of things can happen at closing.
What happens at closing?
But I'll tell you this much.
I've seen a lot.
You get your keys.
Yes, definitely. But if you come with, with My Credit Union, Financial Resources Federal Credit Union, right now we're offering all of our customers a $500 lender's credit.
Oh.
So that's what's happening at closing, over at Financial Resources Federal Credit Union. We're giving our customers a $500 lender credit towards their closing costs at the time of closing. So remember, if you're going to another institution, you're not getting this $500 credit. It's only if you come to the credit union.
Absolutely. And folks, and for you attending our seminar today, you qualify for the $500 credit.
Yes.
Just by attending our seminar. Also, Mike, I hear that you have some great news that you would like to share with everyone. What is Universal Home Inspection also providing?
Yeah, for anybody that books a home inspection, I will include a thermal imaging inspection too, which is a special tool that is almost like an X-ray of a house. It could check behind walls and everything to see if there's moisture or any other problems of that sort.
I like that, folks. When you're listening to this great information, it's accessible to you just by attending our seminar today. Myself and Alex, we both are offering free consultation as well. Just if you have any questions, any concerns, we are here for you. By all means, please feel free to visit our website, ajconsultgroup.com. We ask you thoroughly to check our website. It's great information you don't want to miss.
And we're also, we're basically giving you the time to have someone to listen to you, because I think that a lot of buyers, they ask questions like that. What's happening at closing? How do I even start buying a house? And you have to sit down with a professional who's willing to explain this process to you. in detail, and who's going to have the patience as well to go ahead and and ensure that your needs are met, because everyone has different needs. Every client is different. There is no average buyer, so you want to make sure that whoever you're working with is helping you create a plan of action that is realistic and that it works for you. And they also have patience, because everything is speed, but this is a very big purchase. This is something that most people won't even get to. Most people don't even own a home or properties because it's a scary thing. But there's a lot of reward behind this as well. So we have to push through the fear and start investing in our future, because we invest a lot of time at work. We get these IRAs, these 401ks, but we're not guaranteed to make it to that age.
Absolutely. And with further ado, we're gonna now just open up our platforms now for Q&A. If anyone has questions, please feel free to include them in the chat box.
I have a question for you guys.
Sure.
Okay, we're currently in a seller's market, correct?
Yes.
So would you advise people to go into a bidding war?
You want me to answer that, Jay? Or you want to answer?
I don't know. Well, I've experienced that. Have you?
Absolutely. But, I'm a firm believer that what's for you is for you. So bidding wars are going to exist because we're in a seller's market. You can't avoid it. But an educated realtor will put a reasonable offer together. And the party on the opposite side, they're usually, veterans at this. Listing agents are not usually new agents. So they appreciate anyone that understands the contract in detail and that doesn't come with a bunch of concessions. I need this for closing, I need that. So if you're in a bidding war, you want to have someone on your side that knows how to navigate through this madness, if you will, because it's a lot of work. But when you love what you do, it's never work.
Absolutely, Marisol. And when we speak to our clients, we basically tell them, put your best foot forward if you really want this property. I mean, at that point, it just shows your desire and how considerable your offer will be if you put your best foot forward.
Awesome. Can I ask you one more question?
Yes.
Go for it.
What about a survey? What is that? A property survey.
Go ahead, Jay.
A property survey. So a property survey is basically provides with all the specifications of the property, the layouts and everything.
But don't you have to pay for it?
You do have to pay for it. Depending on the county, each county has a different prices, but definitely you do have to pay for it.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is because when I bought my home, you know what happened to us?
What happened?
Thank God we had a survey done, because our neighbors to the left, they had 20 feet of our property. So guess what happened? After we closed, we took the fence and we moved it 20 feet over to the left. And of course, without a doubt, the wife's neighbor came out like, "What are you doing?" And we said, well, according to the survey, 20 feet of this belongs to us. So of course the wife was like, "I need a copy of that." So we gladly gave her a copy. And the husband said, "Yep, it is. It's their property. It's 20 feet.
I would have taken a flag.
Never know.
I would have put it right on the property line and be like, "This, you can't step this."
Yeah, we had, honestly, we had a surveyor come out and he put the stake in for us. He put the little flags, he put the line, and, we had to cut off our property. So that's the reason why, I was asking, it is important to get a survey just so that you know where your property line starts and where it ends.
Gotcha. Folks, feel free to unmute your mics. This is right now where we're just having open discussions. If you have a question that any one of us can answer, please feel free to ask it now. But I do have a question as well. So, Mike, most people, when they're doing this process, they hear inspectors, attorneys, appraisals, all these fancy words, right? And they don't think about the cost. And when they do think about the cost, they think it's a situation where they're going to negotiate a discount for an inspection. And in my opinion, I love what you provide to our clients. You get what you pay for. So is it better to shop around for an inspector because it's cheaper, Mike, or should you go with someone reputable? And
that's an easy one. You should always go with somebody reputable. The cheapest is not the best. There are a lot of new home inspectors out there, so make sure you make sure if you're out there shopping for one, they have credentials. Myself, before I was a home inspector, I was a contractor for 30 years. So, I know houses. I have a passion for houses since I was building models as a kid. So, yes, it does make a big deal, and make sure you do hire the right inspector.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Marisol. This was a great conversation that we had today on home purchasing. I also want to thank everyone who attended the seminar.
Yes.
If you have any questions, by all means, please feel free to contact us at, visit our website, visit ajconsultgroup.com, or you can contact us via email at ajconsultgroup@gmail.com. We will be glad to answer any questions. Also want to mention, we are on social media. Oh, we have one question. What's the difference between a regular inspector and the bank inspector? And that means appraisal.
Well, the bank doesn't give it an inspector. They only do an appraisal, just to answer your
Correct.
question. So the inspector is someone you have to actually hire out of pocket if you choose to. Some transactions will request for you to waive inspection. I never tell my clients to do that because that's a red flag. If you do not want us to check your property, and then you don't care about my client and their situation. Once you go ahead, Mike.
I think what some people want to know is there's a lot of inspectors out there. There's township inspectors that'll come out and inspect a house for a CO before, if you're selling it or whatever, and it'll come up. There's also insurance inspectors that, they might have to come out for the insurance company, or even, like they said, a bank. They want to make sure that their property is, is worth it. Not just by the appraisal, by what's wrong with it. I just got a call yesterday from a client of mine saying that, I said the roof is not good. They had problems with the roof. I could tell them. I said maybe it'll last 5 years. And then the bank had the bank had another inspector come out, their own inspector. He wasn't actually a home inspector, but their own inspector come out and he looked up there and said, yeah, there's a problem. And then so now I have to give a certification that about the life of the roof, maybe 5 years, or less. So that's the big difference. When you hire a regular home inspector, they're working for you, the buyer of the house, and and they're representing and protecting you. Any other inspectors are working for different agencies, and they have no interest in your well-being. They're just there to inspect exactly what they need to inspect.
Right. And does it matter what kind of loan you take out? Does it matter, Marisol, what kind of loan you take out when it comes to inspection? No, right?
No, well, when it comes to purchasing a home, the perfect loan for you is based on your individual need. Once again, it all depends on your income, your assets, and most importantly, your credit. And then also the property that you're buying. Like I said, if you're buying, let's say a foreclosed property that needs to be fixed up, in most of those cases, in most of those cases, you're going to get what is called, a rehab loan. If you're purchasing, like, let's say, I don't know, let's just say, if you're a veteran, you might go after, like, let's say, a VA loan. If you have, let's say, perfect credit, good income and asset, in that particular case, you might go for a conventional loan. So remember, the perfect loan for you, it's based on your scenario, your situation, your income, your assets, and the type of property that you want to buy.
Awesome.
I mean, I just want to put this out there as well for our brokerage, At Home Realty. One thing that we have that most realtors don't, we have our designations and our credentials that we are, we're required to do a set amount of hours for learning as a realtor, but we go a step above and we try to get as many, designations as possible to ensure that we're always aware of new laws, new procedures that are happening with loans and buyers, et cetera, because things do change quite often. So one thing that keeps us a step above the average realtor is that we're constantly educating our realtors here, myself included.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Folks, once again, thank you so much for attending our seminar. As I mentioned before, please follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, AJ Consult Group. Also visit our website at ajconsultgroup.com. Feel free to leave us your review based on your experience of our home buyer seminar. We look forward to assisting you now or in the near future. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, everyone.